times, and we're going to talk about the lighting Shabbat candles. So here's the first chapter. In the Torah, night precedes day for all matters. This is derived from the description of the world's creation, about which the Torah states, and there was evening and there was morning, day 1, in Bereishit. This tells us that each 24-hour day begins at night, and Shabbat, the 7th day, begins at night. An important concept is unfolded within the Jewish outlook. Night and darkness precede day and light. First, questions and dilemmas arise, and one is mirrored in darkness and uncertainty. And from this, answers emerges, and light shines upon him. This is also true for our history. At first, we were enslaved to Paro in Egypt, but from there we were freed, received the Torah, and entered Eretz Israel. This is how it always is for the Jewish people. Darkness and troubles are followed by light and redemption. First, we must deal with our problems, but from within them we are elevated and refined. In contrast, when it comes to the nations of the world, day precedes night. Nation after nation ascends the stage of history, makes a vast noise, and shakes up the world. But when difficulties arise and problems begin, the nights draw nearer, and finally the nation declines and disappears. It happened to the Babylonians, the Persians, the Greeks, and the Romans. The secret of Jewish immortality is connected to the fact that for us, the night precedes the day. Since the night precedes the day, the 7th day begins at the beginning of the night. But the sages were uncertain as to exactly when night begins. Is it when the sun sets and is no longer visible to us? Or is it when it becomes dark and 3 medium-sized stars can be seen in the sky? In other words, are day and night defined by sun or by light? In Eretz Israel, about 20 minutes separate sunset and the emergence of the stars, though this interval fluctuates based on the time of year and the particular locale's elevation above sea level, as explained in the note below. Another unique feature of Judaism is that not every question is an absolute answer. Doubt and uncertainty occasionally play a role. The present halacha is an example of this. The time between sunset, so shki'a, and so this is when the sun sets, and the emergence of the stars, is classified as a time when it is uncertain whether it is day or night, and it's called bein hashmashot. In practice, for all Torah laws, including Shabbat, we follow the well-known principle, safek deoraita lechumra. That is, we rule strictly when in doubt about Torah law. Therefore, Shabbat begins at shki'a and ends at tzeit hakochavim. So that's why our Shabbat is like 25 hours nowadays.
The bein hashmashot, you're not sure if it's Shabbat or not, if it's still if it's not.
Exactly. And since you have a doubt and it's a Torah doubt, so you have to start from shki'a when the doubt is, so at sunset, and then you have to end at tzeit hakochavim. So number 2.
The mitzvah tosefet Shabbat. The inherent sanctity of Shabbat is present only from the beginning of the 7th day, when Shabbat starts. However, the Torah commands that we extend the sanctity of Shabbat into the mundane week. That is, we are meant to accept the holiness of Shabbat upon ourselves a bit before the start of the 7th day. The same applies to the end of Shabbat. It ends at the end of the 7th day, but we are commanded to extend this holiness a little longer after Shabbat. This extension of Shabbat, called tosefet Shabbat, demonstrates that Shabbat is very dear to us. We go out to greet it before its arrival, and we prolong its stay by accompanying it upon its departure. It is like an honored guest whom we go out to greet and whom we escort when it's time to leave. We have already learned that the status of the time between shki'a and tzeit is uncertain, and thus one must be stringent then. Therefore, in order to fulfill the mitzvah of tosefet Shabbat, we need to accept Shabbat a bit before shki'a. Women customarily accept Shabbat when they light the Shabbat candles. In Jerusalem, the custom is to light candles 4 minutes before shki'a. In Haifa, 30 minutes before. In Tel Aviv and in most other Israeli cities, 20 minutes before. Men who recite the Mincha prayer close to shki'a are accustomed to accept Shabbat later, but they too must be careful to accept Shabbat a few minutes before shki'a in order to add to the holy from the mundane. So really, the woman lights the candles it's not Shabbat.
Exactly. So this is very interesting. So there's a
right. It's like technically you're early for Shabbat a bit.
Right. But so we're going to see when you can apply this. So let's say now you have to go and drive by your parents now right before Shabbat. You're going to sleep.
Drop
there,
something off.
you have to but usually it's like you have to do something quick right after that she lit the candles. Let's say you have to drop her to shul, for example.
Who? Her?
Your wife.
It's a problem, no?
Yes, it's a problem. But if, let's say, when she lit the candle, she said, I'm not taking on myself Shabbat yet.
So what's she doing? Just
What?
lighting the candles?
Yes, exactly.
Halakhic Shabbat doesn't automatically give you Shabbat?
No, if she makes a stipulation. If she doesn't make the stipulation, then
Then
automatically.
it's a general...
Because the custom of the Jewish woman is that as soon as she lights, she takes
for her
upon herself
for the
Shabbat.
family, for the house.
Exactly. But it's not automatic. But this
So
is...
she can make a stipulation and still have Shabbat a couple, like 10 minutes later, 15 minutes later, whatever.
Yes, but this is only in like an more extreme case, because we don't want to go against the common custom.
One who wishes to accept Shabbat even earlier is commendable as long as it is within a seasonal hour and quarter before shki'a. According to many poskim, one may not accept Shabbat earlier than this. Shabbat concludes with the appearance of 3 medium-sized stars, but the sages were worried that people might mistake and think that 3 large stars were medium-sized. Therefore, to be on the safe side, they said that one should wait until the appearance of 3 small stars grouped together. Nowadays, we do not need to look at the stars. Rather, we can rely on clocks and calendars, where the times listed for the end of Shabbat already incorporate tosefet Shabbat. The mitzvah teaches us that there is a connection between the weekday and Shabbat, which is why we can add from the mundane to the sacred. We can also see, based on this, the inner striving of the mundane to be connected to the sacred. So when someone reads the calendar, it says Shabbat ends at 7:12. Technically, you're telling me they already added a time.
Right. So whenever
you look at the luach, let's say it says something.
So that's always the right time. You always do it, because usually this.
But that's not tosefet, or it is?
No, it's already with tosefet.
Which is what? How many
minutes? Because it's already
on the way out.
Because really it's a few minutes after, but they use 40 minutes after shki'a,
which is like late, which is
right,
long.
Which is later, because usually
already really safe.
Right, exactly, and also there's also some tosefet that's also added into it, so. It can also be just a few minutes, but it's already included in the 40 minutes after.
Say 7:12. Okay, I can start to turn my phone at 7,
and that's it. Okay.
Number 3.
Okay, number 3. How to accept tosefet Shabbat? One can accept tosefet Shabbat verbally by saying, "I hereby accept upon myself the sanctity of Shabbat." Some may think that one can even accept tosefet Shabbat mentally. Once one has accepted Shabbat, he must be careful not to do any melacha, as will be explained in the next section. As mentioned, women. So this is interesting, because for men, where sometimes we can use the 18 minutes, right, whenever it's needed. So up until, let's say, a minute before shki'a, we should go and say, "I accept on myself Shabbat." Or let's say you're on your way walking to shul, "I accept on myself Shabbat." You should not say anything or not even think about it, because if you don't think about it.
But if you're standing in the house when your wife's lighting candles, does that mean you're part of it or not?
No, because you don't have the intention for you to.
Because you're planning to go to shul and do something different.
Exactly. So it doesn't. Even if she lights, then you know.
Even if you're in the kitchen, she's in the kitchen.
Yeah, unless now you have the intention. Unless in your head,
Shabbat shalom.
It's okay, but unless you have in your head now that you're taking Shabbat. Once you have it in your head, or you said it verbally, then you took on yourself Shabbat. So then we're going to see that
you walk out the door to go do Mincha, it's already late.
Yeah, so then you won't be able to drive there. So, but now let's say you forgot about something urgent.
You can daven Mincha after you accept Shabbat.
Yeah, of course.
But it's Mincha of not Shabbat, right?
No, right, exactly. But I mean, you accept Shabbat, meaning that you don't do any melachot. But the fact that you do, yeah, but the fact that you do Mincha is based on the time. But let's say by accepting Shabbat is meaning that you stop doing any melachot.
That's all it means.
Right, exactly.
Not for the cycle of the davening.
No. Okay. And even also something else is that even if you do Mariv earlier, because there's also an opinion, let's say now a person has to go out of town or whatever the case, so you can do Mariv from after Plaga Mincha, after Shabbat.
Okay, so he's doing Mariv before accepted Shabbat.
No, let's say now he does Mariv.
Yeah.
No, if he already did Mariv, then you already accepted Shabbat.
Right.
Yes. But if let's say now the next day.
But you're telling me you can do Mincha after you accepted Shabbat too.
Right.
Which is a bit odd, no?
Right, exactly. But it goes because of the time of the Shabbat. But also something else that's interesting is that let's say now let's say on Saturday night, let's say right after Shabbat you have to go do something. So you do Avit earlier. So you can do Avit earlier. Let's say Aga Mincha.
What about your Havdalah and all this?
But then you have to wait till after Shabbat to do Havdalah, but then that means that you can still pray, because the time of the davening is not directly linked. Let's say
so the Arvit can be pre-Havdalah.
Correct.
The Arvit of the next day.
Yes.
Of the Motzei Shabbat.
Correct. So
and then you finish. You go do your message. You leave.
Yeah, then you go home.
And then
the second Shabbos is finished. You do Havdalah, and then you go where
you can do Havdalah 2 hours later.
No, usually you should do Havdalah right away, because there's two parts of the Havdalah. Usually there's but the problem also if let's say if you made your mariv 2 hours before Shabbos ended, or let's say an hour before Shabbos ended,
it's starting to get
then
complicated.
that's exactly, it gets complicated.
I want to hear.
But really, so then the atachonantanu, I'm not sure how it's going to work, because atachonantanu, it allows you to start doing any melachot, but you still have to wait till the time that Shabbat is over.
Officially.
It doesn't mean because you did avi that Shabbat is over. So we still have this. We will still have this idea. But just a little reminder: when you do atachonantanu, you're allowed to do any melachot. So you're allowed to drive your car back home on Shabbat, right after Shabbat, but you're not allowed to eat anything until you do Havdalah. So you cannot drink, have a meal, or eat anything, even water. You're not allowed until you go home and do Havdalah. So to permit you to eat, you have to do Havdalah. To permit you to do melachot, you have to do atachonantanu. Okay, very good. So, and also for women, let's say they're going to be home, so they have to say three. I don't know. This is our custom. I don't know if you have to say it 3 times, but you have to say Baruch Hamavdi ben Kodesh Echol. So blessed is Hashem who
separates between.
Exactly. So they don't say with the name of Hashem, but they say Baruch Hamavdi ben Kodesh Echol, and then they're good. They're able to go.
That's like their Havdalah.
Right, but this is not enough to eat. This is enough just to
what? Just
to do melachot. So that's if she wants to start cleaning
but
the
still
house.
Not eating.
No, eating you have to go and do with the Kiddush cup. So that's why it's good if let's say you know that if you're going to be too late, then so it's better to come home as soon as Shabbat is over. You do Havdalah right away, and not push it off.
Keep your wife still started.
Very good. So one can accept the Shabbat. So like we said, it can be either verbally or mentally. As mentioned, women customarily accept Shabbat when reciting bracha over lighting Shabbat candles. Since they invoke Shabbat, they intend to accept it upon themselves, thus fulfilling the mitzvah of tosefet Shabbat. According to most authorities, a woman may light candles conditionally, having in mind that she is not accepting Shabbat to the lighting. In such a case, she may do melacha or drive to shul after lighting. Nevertheless, it is preferable that she accepts Shabbat when she lights, since some maintain that one may not light conditionally, in which case, once she lights Shabbat candles, she has accepted Shabbat and may not do melacha. Furthermore, if she does not accept Shabbat when she lights candles, there is concern that she will forget to say Shabbat altogether. Right, because if she doesn't say anything, or she forgets, just wastes the time, so then she will not have those few minutes before shki'a that she mentally or verbally accepted Shabbat. At one time, men customarily accepted Shabbat during prayer with the recitation of Boi Kala Shabbat Hamalka in the liturgical poem Lechadodi. However, nowadays in many shuls, they do not finish Lechadodi before shki'a. Accordingly, in order to fulfill the mitzvah of tosefet Shabbat, the Gabbai should announce after Mincha Boi Kala Shabbat Hamalka, at which point everyone should accept Shabbat. So really, right after Mincha, really you're supposed to say this. I guess in many, I didn't hear this in shuls, but at least personally, you should go and make a point to accept Shabbat before shki'a. If the Gabbai does not make this announcement, then each individual should say to himself, Boi kala Shabbat hamalka, or Ine mekabel al atzmi kedushat Shabbat, right? Ine mekabel al atzmi kedushat Shabbat, hereby accept upon myself the sanctity of Shabbat. Additionally, if one is afraid that the Chazan will not complete the repetition of the Mincha Amida before Shki'a, he may whisper the declaration to himself during the repetition to ensure that you don't lose the opportunity to fulfill the mitzvah of tosefet Shabbat. Very good. Okay.
Laws pertaining to one who accepts Shabbat upon himself. From the time one accepts tosefet Shabbat, he must refrain from all malachot forbidden by Torah law. Rabbinically prohibited actions are also forbidden at this point, unless the malachat to be done is for a mitzvah, for a Shabbat need, or for some other great need, because in such situations the sages do not intend for their prohibitions to apply. For example, if one forgot to tithe produce and wishes to eat it on Shabbat, he may tithe it even if he has already accepted Shabbat, because tithing produce on Shabbat is only prohibited rabbinically. One who has already accepted tosefet Shabbat may ask a fellow Jew who has yet to accept Shabbat to do malacha on his behalf. Women generally light candles and accept Shabbat at the time listed on calendars. Men to pray the week, then accept Shabbat. In intervening period, a woman may ask her husband to do malachot such as turning on the light or adjusting the oven, even though she has already accepted Shabbat. Similarly, on Saturday night, one who has not yet made Havdalah may ask one who has to do the malacha for him.
Very good.
Even a Jew, obviously.
Right.
You could ask a Goy or a Jew, I guess. It doesn't matter.
No. So here we're going to see the difference is that the you cannot ask a goy to do a melacha for you on Shabbat. There's a general rule. It's forbidden. So
why is the whole concept of Shabbat going all this?
Very good. So we're going to get there, but it's not so simple at all. It's
the neighbor.
A lot of it is a misconception. A lot of it is a misconception, and a lot of the time it's even asur, because you cannot. It said lo yaseh kol melacha, right? No melacha will be done.
Doesn't mean who does it.
Exactly. So then,
so why do people think it's an easy answer? The Shabbat going,
because they didn't learn anything, but it's not an easy fix at all. Sometimes, let's say most of the time, what a goy can do for you is things that you are allowed to do. So I'll give you an example. Let's say now you have a goy in your house that you want to do dishes. So you're allowed to do dishes on Shabbat if it's going to be for the next meal, or there's a chance that you will use it for the next meal. But if you're not going to use them at all, then it's called a chana, and you're not allowed to prepare for another day. Right.
You can pack for your Motzei Shabbat trip, or you can do
right, exactly. So, but now let's say the goy now, let's say Friday night, now she cleaned up the whole table. There's no problem. She did the room. There's no problem.
Even if you're not eating there Saturday.
What?
If the rest of Shabbat you're not eating
anymore. If the rest of the time, the only leniency would be that if, let's say, it really bothers you that it's dirty, because you like to have a clean house, then this can also be for the Kabbalah Shabbat. Let's say you have a kitchen. The kitchen is like, you can
mess
see
everywhere.
It's a mess, and also let's say from your living room you see it, or it's like close to. So it's like it will be bothersome to have it like that. Then it'll be allowed. Now let's say now she's cleaning. You can wash it with cold water, but she wants to wash it with hot water. There's no problem because she's washing it for herself. She's using hot water. Who told her to use hot water? Nobody. So then it will be allowed. But if you told her to use hot water, there's a problem. You know that you turn on this light, do this or that. It's all asur. We're going to see later with Hashem, so when we're going to continue the series, all the conditions of how it applies the Shabbat to ask a goy to do something on Shabbat. But here the case is very interesting, is that you accepted on yourself Shabbat, but another Jew did not accept on himself Shabbat. Or you did not finish Shabbat yet. Let's say, for example, you do like Chasidim, you do Rabbeinu Tam. Okay, so this is 72 minutes after shki'a. Okay, we do 40 minutes, they do 72 minutes. So during those,
even for after Shabbat too,
right after Shabbat. So now let's say you're finished Shabbat, but he's not finished Shabbat. But he can tell you, go do something that's forbidden for him to do on Shabbat. For example, he can tell you, okay, drive me there. So you open the door for him. He goes inside and you drive him. Why? Because it's only forbidden to tell for something, let's say to tell a goy or to tell a Jew when it's asur for him. But since now here it's mutar for him, the Jew is not doing anything wrong. For him, it's not Shabbat yet.
But if it's still Shabbat for the Chassid,
yeah, so there's no issue with that.
He can drive a car. You can get into a car?
Yes, exactly. So you will be allowed, because for the person who's doing, now you're going to see if there's a problem with the eruv, there's other issues that can come along. But let's say something more simple. Forget the car for now. Let's say you tell him, oh, I forgot to plug in the cholent. So you tell him, hey, come Moshe, go plug in the cholent. There's no problem with this. Why? Because for him, it's not Shabbat yet. So therefore, there's no issue in him asking him to do this melacha. Okay?
Number 5.
Very good. So number 5.
This is what we talked about.
Okay. Similarly, Saturday night, one who has not yet made Avdah may ask one who has to do melacha for him. Right. So he didn't do Avdah, so he asked, "Can you please do this for me?" Because he's not supposed to do melacha now. Okay. So now, may one pray mincha after accepting Shabbat? So this is your question. Look at that, huh? So there are shuls where the weekday mincha on Friday is finished after shki'a. So that if the participants will wait to accept Shabbat until after Mincha, Shabbat in fact has already begun, and they are unable to fulfill the mitzvah of tosefet Shabbat. Thus the question arises: may one accept Shabbat but then pray the weekday Mincha? According to some authorities, one who has accepted Shabbat may no longer pray the weekday Mincha, because one may not pray a weekday Mincha after Shabbat has begun, and one may not pray Shabbat Mincha because that is to be said only on Saturday. So that's your case. Therefore, in their opinion, one who mistakenly accepted Shabbat before praying Mincha has lost the opportunity to pray Mincha. And during Mariv, he should pray the Amidah twice.
I don't think we follow that.
The first time serves as a regular Mariv of Shabbos. The second time is to compensate for the Mincha that he missed. This applies to women as well. And thus, a woman will not pray Mincha after she has lit candles. How can she pray a weekday Mincha after she has accepted Shabbat? So it's like Tafte de Satche, like your question. Because Tafte de Satche means you have two contradicting things.
Right, let's say Shabbos candles and now she's doing a weekday mincha.
Exactly. So either it's Shabbat or it's not Shabbat. There's no in between, right? So the first time serves as regular marriage. Okay, this applies to a woman as well. Thus, a woman may not accept mincha, may not pray mincha after she has lit candles. How can she pray a weekday mincha after she has accepted Shabbat? If she wishes to compensate for missing mincha, she should pray the Amidah twice at marriage. The only alternative is to pray mincha earlier, while it is still day, and to accept Shabbat afterwards. Where mincha is prayed after shki'a, one must pray mincha early on his own so that he will be able to add tosefet Shabbat. For the mitzvah of tosefet Shabbat is a Torah law, while praying with a minyan is a rabbinic requirement. So we see that since it's from the Torah that there's a mitzvah to add on to the Shabbat, then it would be better for you to pray at home if you will not be able to do this mitzvah. So it's very interesting. Let's see what he says on the next paragraph. The widespread custom is that if shki'a is approaching,
you missed the paragraph.
Several authorities maintain, however, that even after one has accepted Shabbat, he may still pray the weekday mincha. The reason that tosefet Shabbat only requires that one not transgress any prohibitions of Shabbat, but does not extend to the realm of prayer. Thus one may still pray the weekday mincha. Just as in the service of a mitzvah, one may do things that are rabbinically prohibited during tosefet Shabbat, so too he may pray the weekday mincha. Then only one who accepted Shabbat, the congregation may not pray the weekday mincha. Therefore, if one still has not prayed mincha and it is very close to shki'a, he should accept Shabbat verbally and then pray the weekday mincha. You see, that's what we said. Still, others maintain that in such a case, one must be careful to accept Shabbat only mentally. On the one hand, one may accept Shabbat this way. On the other hand, since it was only in his head, he may say pray weekday mincha. So I guess here the best case scenario, let's say you're going to pray at the Zman, right? So right before shki'a. So you go to a later minyan, then you should accept Shabbat in your head, and you will be able to go and do mincha without an issue. The widespread custom is that if shki'a is approaching and one is still not prayed mincha, because then the issue is that let's say now you came to shul, and everyone said Barechu now, right? So Barechu is really that it's really now it's happening. It's happening. You cannot.
Can't take it back. Can't put the back in the
There's no in between now. That's it. So then Barechu, then you would have to say 2 times
Amidah and Mariv.
Yeah, 2 times Amidah and Mariv if they're already at Barechu. If they're not there, then you can still catch up quickly. Okay, the widespread custom is that if shki'a is approaching and one is still not yet prayed, he accepts tosefet Shabbat whether verbally or mentally, and then prays the weekday mincha. Then prays the weekday mincha. Bidavad, woman too may pray mincha after lighting candles. If one knows that the minyan is going to pray mincha late, he should preferably fulfill his obligation in conformity with all opinions by praying mincha on his own and accepting Shabbat before shki'a. Wow. If he is sure that he will be able to accept Shabbat during the repetition of the Amidah, it is best that he pray with the minyan and accept tosefet Shabbat during the repetition. So just it's because it's very interesting. Let's do the commentary there. Number 6. So following the first opinion, if one comes to shul close to shki'a and knows that if he begins to pray the weekday mincha, he will not finish his silent Amidah before shki'a, he should preferably accept Shabbat and later pray the Amidah of Mariv twice. This is the opinion of Mishnah Bura and Rav Mazuz. A woman who does not have time to pray mincha and then light the candles should light the candles and not pray. If she prays mincha regularly, she may pray the Amidah of Mariv twice, with the second recitation being compensatory. Following the second opinion, if one comes to shul close to shki'a, he should accept the Shabbat and pray the weekday mincha. One may pray the weekday mincha even after accepting tosefet Shabbat, as tosefet Shabbat only causes melachot to be prohibited, but not affect prayer. This is the position of the tzeit Eliezer, following Zera Emet and other achronim. The Mincha Yitzchak agrees and to shorten the service, the sages formulate an abbreviated version. Therefore, when necessary, one may pray the weekday mincha even after accepting tosefet Shabbat. What records this approach as that of many achronim? Some follow the second opinion by maintaining that one must accept tosefet Shabbat only mentally, but not verbally. In other words, it decides to refrain from melacha from here on, thus fulfilling the mitzvah of tosefet Shabbat. But since he has not verbalized his acceptance, he may still pray the weekday mincha. Avad Yosef writes that in Yabia Omer and Livyat Chen, it writes this in Yabia Omer. So this is a very good advice that you do it mentally, and therefore it's you still have the mitzvah of tosefet Shabbat, but it's not a full acceptance that will refrain you from doing mincha. An additional dispute among the chonim concerns the questionable status of the one who responds to the congregation to the Chazan's declaration of Barechu. According to Yechavi Da'at, one may not respond to Barechu and still maintain that he has not accepted Shabbat. Thus one responded.
The minyan then. If you're not answering the Barechu, you're not part of the minyan, are you?
No, then you will be. But the problem is that then you miss your mincha. Thus, one responding may no longer pray that we did Mincha. On the other hand, in Got Moshe, if one thinks to himself that he is not accepting Shabbat, he may respond to Bayachu and still pray the weekday Mincha afterward. However, based on Shulchan Aruch, he should make sure to pray outside of the shul. He should not pray with everybody that he's doing now Mincha and everyone's doing starting the Bayachu. Right, even after the Bayachu. Okay, so we said till 10:15, or is that good?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do lighting Shabbat candles. Next one.
Hold on, I get to the next one.
So number 4, let me send it to you. Okay.
Number 4, lighting Shabbat candles.
Yeah.
Got it. The mitzvah of lighting Shabbat candles. There's a rabbinic mitzvah to light candles to honor Shabbat. There are 3 reasons for this. Number 1, to honor Shabbat, as a banquet without light is of no significance. For number 2, oneg Shabbat, because one who cannot see his food does not enjoy it. And number 3, to bring shalom bayis, because one who cannot see his furniture and belongings trips over them and gets angry and irritable. It is so important to have light at the Shabbat table that the sages say that one who does not have enough money to buy a candle should go to the door begging for charity in order to buy it. One who has only a bit of money should first buy bread so he does not fast on Shabbat. After that, if he still has money left, he should buy a candle. And only then he can buy wine for the Kiddush. This is because one may make Kiddush over bread if necessary, and the light allows him to honor and enjoy Shabbat. It's more important to light the candle in honor of Shabbat than to beautify Kiddush with wine. The Shabbat candles give profound expression to the essence of Shabbat. One mirrored in darkness cannot find what he's looking for. He stumbles over his furniture. This whole home seems chaotic to him. But the moment he lights the Shabbat candles, peace comes to the house. He understands that his furniture is there to serve him and his belongings are all there, all where they belong. Thus, he is able to enjoy Shabbat at his festive meal. Similarly, when we look at the world superficially, it seems full of strife and war, hopelessly divided and conflicted. Each side thinks that only when they succeed in getting rid of the opposition will it be able to rest, and thus the conflicts endlessly continue. But if one thinks a little more deeply and examines divine providence, the darkness disappears and the divine light is revealed. He realizes that the opposing side actually complements one another, and there is a hand directing and leading the world toward perfection. Out of all the troubles and afflictions, redemption and comfort will emerge. The Shabbat candles, which bring peace to the home by adding light, thus allude to the repair of the world that comes about by increasing the light of Torah and faith. This is the goal of Shabbat, to add the light of faith and Torah to the world. It seems that this is the reason for the great love that all Jews have for the mitzvah of Shabbat candles. It alludes to the overarching goal of the Jewish people to make peace by adding light. With this in mind, one can understand the sage's statement that one who is meticulous about lighting Shabbat candles will be privileged to have children who are Torah scholars. For by occupying oneself with the light of Shabbat, one merits having a child who adds the light of Torah to the world. Accordingly, after lighting the Shabbat candles, many women customarily pray that their sons become Torah scholars. The sages state in God's name, the glory of Shabbat is its candles. If one observes the mitzvah of Shabbat candles, I will show you the candles of Zion. It will not be necessary for you to use the light of the sun to see. Rather, I'll provide illumination for you, my glory. In the future, the nations will walk by your light. Why do you deserve all of this? Because of the candles of your light for Shabbat.
Very good. So where to light and who must light? It is a mitzvah to have light in every room that will be used Friday night, so that people will not trip. However, the primary mitzvah is to light the candles where the meal will be eaten, since by eating the meal by their light, they increase the honor and pleasure of Shabbat. Therefore, the Bereishit is recited over these candles. So over these candles where you will have the meal. The other rooms have light thanks to electric lights in the home or street lights shining in. There is no need to light candles there as well. The candles must remain lit until the end of the Friday night meal. Ideally, one should make sure the light remains until people go to sleep. Today, when one can easily leave on electric lights, ideally one should make sure that there is light in the house all night so that one who wakes up during the night does not trip. The mitzvah to light candles applies to all Jews, man and woman, single and married, since everyone is obligated to honor and enjoy Shabbat. However, within the family, the wife takes precedence for this mitzvah because she is ba'alat habayit, mistress of her household, and responsible for running it. Therefore, she has the privilege of fulfilling this mitzvah, which is designed to ensure peace in the home. She exempts all other members of her household with her lighting. But if the wife is running late and it is getting close to shki'a, it is better that her husband or one of the children light the candles so that she does not risk desecrating Shabbat by lighting the candles herself. The precedence of woman over man with regard to candle lighting indicates that Shalom Bayit is primarily dependent on woman, and the light of Torah and faith permeates the home due to the wife. Through her special inner awareness, she knows how to illuminate the path of faith for her husband and children. She directs them towards diligent Torah study. This accords with the words of the sages. The promise of future reward for women is greater than that of men, because they send their children to study Torah in school, encourage their husbands to study long hours in the Beit Midrash, and wait for them to come home. Brachot 17a. Nevertheless, when the wife is unable to light the candles, the husband should do so. But when necessary, he too can bring peace to their home and introduce an atmosphere of faith and Torah to it. One whose wife is away for any reason, while he remains at home, must light the candles with a bracha. Even if he has an adult daughter, the mitzvah to light the candles devolves upon him because he is the head of the household. If he wishes, though, he may ask his daughter to light for him and the rest of the household. Some have the custom that all the girls in the household who are old enough to understand the mitzvah light candles with bracha along with their mother. This is custom of Chabad. However, most poskim maintain that only the mother of the family should light, and that is the custom of all other Jewish communities. It is proper for every woman to follow her family's custom.
What does that mean practically? If your wife's lighting Shabbat candles, the kids are not there next to her?
No. So they all come together.
But they're not saying the bracha.
But you can teach them to make the bracha. No, so they should light. They should light. No, no, therefore, you can make a bracha. Let's say to teach them to make a bracha, but let's say officially, let's say once they're bat mitzvah, they shouldn't make a bracha. That really the candles of the mother, they exempt the whole household.
So what should she do after bat mitzvah?
So she shouldn't do a bracha. She lights her own candles. She lights her own candles, but she doesn't make a bracha because the candles.
She can't be yotzei from the mother's candles.
Yeah, she can be also exactly. So she doesn't have to light her candle.
She can just be there.
Yeah, exactly. She's just there, and then the mother lights, and it is be yotzei the whole household. Okay.
Number 3.
And that's why also, let's say the living room or the dining room where people are going to eat. So by lighting it, it's already exempting the whole place from custom, except for Chabad.
You can't move the candelabra during Shabbos.
No.
You can't even push it. You can't do anything.
No, it's muktzeh.
Even if the candles are out?
Right, even after they're out there, it's muktzeh. So the only way that it depends.
You can elbow it?
Yeah, so if you need to elbow it, then because that's the thing. Because for muktzeh, it's all the
tablecloths and all that stuff is okay.
Touching it of what?
If you pull it with a tablecloth.
Yeah, well, if it's indirect, tablecloth you have to. It's more if you do it. Let's say you pick it with your elbows or something like that.
Great.
It's not great. But where do you leave it usually on the table?
Yeah, the dining room.
Then just leave it there all Shabbat.
That's true.
Very good.
Like to clean up the tablecloth is a problem.
It's okay. You'll find
you
find a Shabbat goy. All right.
You tell me you can't do a Shabbat goy if you can.
No, but there's some things. Let's say for things that are muktzeh.
Shabbat guy can lift up the Shabbat candles.
Yeah, but it's muktzeh, then
it doesn't apply to the goy.
Yeah, they can just.
They can just lift up the Shabbat candle.
They can just clean the table, and then because you tell them clean the, they understand and they clean.
Put the candles back on the regular table. That's a problem.
It's a problem to remove the
tablecloth.
No, it's a problem to remove the candlestick from the table. It's
you just to lift it up.
No, it's because it's muktzeh.
The boy can't lift it.
Clean the table
and let her figure out how she wants to.
Exactly, and then
her system doesn't have to be.
Number 3. Go.
What may one light with, and how many candles? It's a famous question. The second chapter of Tractate Shabbat has an extensive discussion about what materials may be used for lighting so that the wicks need to be soft and absorbent so that it will draw the oil nicely, and the oil must be of a type that is drawn nicely into the wick. If these conditions are not met, the flame will jump around the wick and the light will dim. There is a concern that one seeing such light will try to fix it, thus transgressing the prohibition of lighting fire on Shabbat. The sages said that of all the acceptable oils, olive oil is the best because it is easily drawn into the wick and is clear and pure. Today, most women light paraffin or wax candles, whose light is stronger and more stable. The extensive discussion about what materials may be used to light candles alludes to the way to achieve shalom bayit. Just as the wick has to be made of soft and absorbent material and the oil must be light and easily drawn, so too a couple needs to unite humbly. Just as when we light the wick, fire and light are produced jointly by the wick and the fuel, so too a couple through the fire of faith and the light of Torah can become one, developing and illuminating strong together. Without a spiritual destination, love withers, just as everything physical atrophies. But when there is a shared spiritual goal that lights the fire of their lives, their love becomes stronger and stronger. The law requires that only one candle be lit, thus providing light in the home. However, the custom is to light two candles, one corresponding to Zachor and one to Shamor. Some women customarily light one candle for each member of the household. Others light 7 candles, corresponding to the 7 days of the week. Still others light 10, corresponding to the 10 commandments. All these customs apply when a woman is in her own home, but if she's a visitor in someone else's home, the custom is that she lights just 2 candles. In the past, when homes were normally candlelit, adding more candles beautified Shabbat by increasing light in the home. Now that electric light is common, adding candles does not increase beauty. It is sufficient to light just 2 candles corresponding to Zachor and Shamor. If a woman forgets to light candles one week, it is customary for her to add an extra candle every week as a penalty. What do you mean every week? She adds forever.
Yeah, but if she didn't light for 1 week.
However, this only applies if there was no light at all as a result of her omission. If there was electric light, even though she did not light it prior to honor Shabbat, since in fact they did not miss out on Shabbat, she is not obligated to add a candle every week for the rest of her life.
Very good. So there are 2 customs. Is there any questions on this? Yeah.
How many candles?
So here he said, so it depends on the custom, but let's say you want to do the minimum, should be 2.
Some people say 7, some people say 10.
By the people of the household. So this is what my wife, she does. She does according to the...
Okay, so how many in your household? 6?
Yeah.
So you light 6 candles? You, your wife, and your 4 kids?
Yeah.
And let's see if Bereishit of another kid, maybe?
Yeah.
You're gonna add another 7.
Yeah.
You buy another candle, or you just add a second stick, or what do you do?
No, we add
multiple extra pieces.
Add more candles, right? But no, it's not necessarily on the candelabra. But the most beautiful way is to do it on the.
That's expensive. You have to keep adding. You have to buy a new candelabra.
That's it.
Some people just buy candlesticks, right?
Yeah. Very good, but that's it. So if let's say now, there's no custom, so you do 2 is good. And if not, you can do by the household, or like we said, 7 days, whatever is the. But we said that really 1 is the minimum, but the common custom is to do 2 or more. So now the bracha recited upon lighting. There are 2 customs as to when the bracha over the candles is recited. Some say it prior to lighting. As a rule for all the mitzvot is to recite bracha before performing the mitzvah. Right? Thus they first say Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzanu le'adlik ner shel Shabbat. But this is the custom by the Sfaradim, right? So blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who sanctified us with his mitzvot and commanded us to light Shabbat candles. Right, so again, just to put a little reminder that all the mitzvot is to make us holy, to make us sanctified. And this is the way to be close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and be holy, because he is holy, is through his mitzvot. And then light. This is the ruling of the Shulchan Aruch and the custom of some Sephardic women. So Shulchan Aruch Ebia Omer. It's interesting because from Morocco, like Moroccan women and Ashkenazi women, they're together on this one. Others recite the bracha after lighting because, according to several poskim, women accept Shabbat by invoking it in the bracha. And therefore, one recite the bracha before lighting will not secondly be allowed to light, right? Because she's saying that I'm accepting Shabbat. So how do you accept Shabbat? By saying the bracha, and then you light the candles, right? So to be sure, according to most poskim, as long as a woman has in mind that she is not accepting Shabbat, when reciting the bracha, she may light the candles afterward. Nevertheless, a woman did not want to light the candles after reciting the bracha and invoking Shabbat. For this reason, the widespread custom in most communities that women first light the candles and afterward recite the bracha, thereby accepting Shabbat. Many Achronim affirmed and reinforced this custom. Nevertheless, in order to follow the general rule of reciting the bracha before doing a mitzvah, women customarily covered their eyes while reciting the bracha and only then opened their eyes and enjoyed the light of the candles. This is the custom of all Ashkenazim. So now, trivia question: why do women cover their eyes before lighting Shabbos candles? Is that they recite, they go light the candles, and they cover their eyes, and then they make the bracha. So after they make the bracha, they're able to enjoy from the light. They shouldn't enjoy from the light before they made the bracha.
That's the reason why they cover their eyes?
Right.
Because the minute they say the bracha...
No, because now you let light, so you're drawing from the light without adding a bracha.
For the few seconds before you start the bracha.
Right, you light, and then you cover your eyes,
and then you say the bracha.
Exactly.
So you don't benefit from the light until you finish the bracha.
Right.
That's the concept of the light?
Right, exactly. So
not to concentrate on the bracha, not to concentrate on something.
No, so of course, then after you make the bracha, then you can make all kinds of blessings. It's like we said, it's a good thing to bless your children. It should be tamid chachamim, to pray for your husband. There's a lot of nice things that a woman can go and say. It's a very good as soon as a person is in this moment, they're accepting Shabbat, they're lighting Shabbat candles. There's just the day itself is holy, and therefore it's an auspicious time to make tefillot. So this is the custom of all Ashkenazim and some Sephardim. This was also the custom in Morocco, Iraq, and elsewhere. In practice, everyone should follow the custom of her mother's family. That's interesting. So usually the wife has to follow her husband's minhagim. Right, but in this case, we say the mother's family. When a single man or a widower light candles, he should make a bracha before lighting. This is because the custom of a man is to accept Shabbat verbally after the Mincha prayers, not at the time of candle lighting. If you want, we can leave it at that and continue next week. There's 3 more, or if you want, we can finish it, whatever you like. Because I know I told you 10:15, now it's 10:20.
You're supposed to call the girl back. It's okay.
Gonna finish or whatever you like. You want to do the 3 more?
We'll do 1 more at least.
Okay, let's go. You do it. Go.
If necessary, one may fulfill the mitzvah by switching on an incandescent light bulb. A bulb is similar to a candle with the glowing metal. Filament is equivalent of a wick, and electricity is equivalent of the oil or paraffin. However, one maintains that one does not fulfill the obligation with an incandescent bulb, because in a candle, the fuel is adjacent to the wick, which is not the case with an electric bulb. Nevertheless, the vast majority of poskim maintain that one may fulfill one's obligation by lighting an incandescent bulb. Since there is a halakhic consensus that electric light is considered fire, and igniting an electric light on Shabbat violates the Torah prohibition against lighting fire on Shabbat. Nevertheless, it is preferable to use a candle for this mitzvah, so that one fulfills the requirement according to all opinions. Additionally, by lighting a candle, it is more apparent that this is special lighting in honor of Shabbat. It is preferable at tefillah to turn off electric lights before lighting in the candles and to turn them back on in honor of Shabbat when lighting the candles. In this way, the mitzvah is beautified greatly. However, through the candles and electric lights. Moreover, if electric lights are on when she lights the candles, it is not apparent that she is lighting candles to fulfill the mitzvah, since there was light already. Therefore, it's good to turn off the electric lights several minutes before candle lighting, and when she comes to light the candles, she should first turn on the electric lights, then immediately light the Shabbat candles. When reciting the bracha, she should have the electrical lights in mind as well, as all this is ideal, but technically, even if the electric lights are on, she may light the candles with a bracha. We are not concerned that this bracha is in vain, because in lighting the additional candles to fulfill the mitzvah provide additional light in honor of Shabbat. See the next section of laws pertaining to one staying on the time.
Chazak, very good.